Hi guys, good evening and welcome to the Wishup podcast. It is great to have Shay Nuggu with us today. So Shay, thank you for taking the time to come out on the show with us.
You're welcome. Anytime. It was a pleasure having you invite me.
Awesome. So the theme for this podcast is basically the LGBTQ awareness month, the Pride month. So we would like to speak to you more about your experience in this podcast, learn about how you faced your difficulties, how you came out, as it is really conservative in India. So we'd like to touch on that. What are your morals? What are your values? And how has different work cultures influenced you and your behavior? So I hope you are ready for a very interesting session of questions with us.
Absolutely. I'd love to share such stories anyways. It's not the first time that I've done this. So happy to do that for Wishup actually.
Awesome. Great. So to start off with, what about Pride Month excites you the most?
Well, I've been a part of Pride events for almost 10 years when I was in Australia. So I would say the visibility and the awareness that these events kind of generate. And as much as it was so much fun and a frolic and all about partying when I was in my 20s and I was in Australia at that time, I'm more excited about these events happening in India because this is where it's really required. People have become more liberalized in Australia, probably not yet in India when it comes to LGBTQ plus issues. Recently, Ahmedabad started conducting their own Pride events. Earlier, there was just a Pride walk, but this year they started that. A conservative city like Lucknow, which I was so surprised, had their Pride walk in 2017. There are small towns like Bhubaneswar also conducting such things. So you can see the reach that it's having.
What do you think has influenced these towns? Like, as you said, they're very conservative, right? So what do you think has changed in the past 5 years, say?
I think the awareness that the entertainment industry has created in the last 20 years, the sitcoms have started talking about it. Even the Indian movies have started talking about it quite some time ago. There is, and even today on the television, you can see some characters that are LGBTQ plus. And so the common man, even in the remotest towns and cities, tier 2, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities, are being made aware, and people have become more acceptable.
So you spoke about being in Australia, and yeah, I've been there as well. It's one hell of a place to party. So how was it different coming from Australia to India and then settling back in India? The lifestyle is totally different out there. There everybody's pretty open-minded and non-judgmental, and still in India there are these stereotypes. So how did you face that change and how did you adjust to it?
Well, yeah, I've lived in Australia for 14 years. And I came out when I was in Australia. In fact, the moment I stepped out of the airport in Sydney in 2003, I must have told at least 100 people on that day that I am gay. And so that's how it started. And I came to know about the community. I didn't even understand terms like lesbian, transgender. So all the different parts of the umbrella of the LGBTQ plus were being made aware. Then I started giving lectures on Indian cultures at the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Club. And I did that for the first 10 years. So that actually opened a lot of my horizons. I used to attend a lot of gay clubs. I used to go partying. And when you meet people at such avenues, you come to know the entire sea of people that belong to our community. And you see the good things, you see the bad things, they educate you, you go to film festivals, you go to LGBTQ plus events. And so by the end of 14 years, I knew what this was all about. And then when I decided to come back to India, it was a bit daunting because I was kind of scared for myself. What is now going to happen? I am just actually downgrading myself in a way. But I was pleasantly surprised to see the awareness that had happened in my absence in that decade, for that entire decade. cities like Bengaluru, Mumbai, to an extent, I would say even Hyderabad, were suddenly so accepting, especially the millennial generation, and even people from my age group. I have seen so many gay apps that were on phones, and they had launched in India. Grindr had launched in India. Blued had launched in India. So, and plus there were some movies as well. I remember there was Kapoor and Sons that released. There was a couple of other movies that were released as soon as when I returned to India. I was very happy to see that. I even went out, partying in Mumbai, Delhi, and I actually felt safe.
For you, like, was it easy or difficult for your family to accept your decision, or do they still consider it as a taboo?
I always say this to everyone that asks me. I must be the luckiest son that I've ever seen, because my parents, I came out to them almost 10 years ago. Not usually, like I came out to others in 2003, but my parents, I came out in 2010. It took some time. But, and the reason why I didn't come out to them earlier was obviously the same fear of abandonment that every LGBT plus person has. And I've seen that this happens in all the countries, even in the Western countries. And I've seen other people getting abandoned, thrown out, not having spoken to, and completely alienation. So I was scared, but then when I told my parents in 2010, my dad didn't even say one word. Maybe on some level he already knew, and he already had accepted that. And my mom probably didn't talk to me for 2 days, but then after 2 days she came and embraced me and my partner, and there has been nothing else after that. So I'm very, very...
That's amazing. Yeah, mothers are always soft-hearted. So yeah, and I would say you're really lucky, yes. Compared to some of the stories I've heard from my friends, yes, you're very lucky. So did you face any judgments from your colleagues at that time, may it be in India or in Australia?
Absolutely. See, there is another thing that has happened, which is quite topsy-turvy or opposite to what other Indians have faced in Australia. I used to hear a lot of racism that every Indian has mentioned that, yeah, I have faced racism. But that is something that I have never faced. I don't know why. Maybe because of the company that I kept. But I faced a lot of homophobia. Having abuses hurled at, being spat on, being discriminated at work. I even was stopped because of my sexuality. I was stopped for a promotion. Random Facebook comments, please die, go to burn in hell. All those things are something that I've seen not only in Australia, I still see that in India.
Why though? Just like random trolls just trolling you?
Because when you're open about yourself, I'm open to even my neighbors here in the apartment society that I stay. I am open on social media. I am open on to my relatives, which is a very crucial and a controversial thing to be opened about, because their questions are raised, and about how the Indian society functions. The parents might support you, but then there are always these elements, your cousins or your relatives, who will not accept, and then they will probably influence others to not accept such a lifestyle.
True.
Yeah.
So, according to you, Shay, is it important for companies to embrace diversity, equality, and inclusion, and to market it or to talk about it, or do you think it's something that should be subtle?
See, first of all, Chris, I actually kind of go with the fact that a private company can have their own rules, can hire whoever they want. Okay, because it's a privately owned organization. Nobody is bound to anything. It's their organization, their money. It's up to them who they want to hire. That's something that I always believed in, and I still do. However, saying that, it's 2022. You just cannot avoid diversity. Diversity is a good thing, because we are all evolved from different parts of the world with different traits. We all come with so many strengths individual strengths, right? And these things actually help in a workplace, right? When you combine
Yeah.
a variety of internal and external ideas from different cultures, different countries, then somehow the end result is always good. And that's what the companies should hope for. And I've seen that most of the companies have embraced diversity, and it also allows them to proclaim on and shout from the rooftops that they are diverse enough. Because that's what the millennials want to hear. Millennials are the future of these corporates, because these are the people that they hire,
Absolutely.
right? So they have to cater to that that demographic.
So do you think it makes a difference when a company explicitly states that they are LGBT inclusive? Does it make a difference, like if you're suppose applying for a job, or you're looking at a company to deal with? Does that make a difference in your perception?
Absolutely. That actually talks so much about, first of all, the founders of the company, the values on which they want to build the company. And it also shows a lot of acceptance, not just with the diversity, but also in general of how they want to deal with their employees. So that speaks volumes. And I would definitely be more comfortable if a company is announcing that they are LGBTQ plus friendly. If they are not, then I would think twice, in probably job.
What do you think, Shay? Is it easier being queer right now, or was it 5-10 years ago?
Oh my God, absolutely yes, it is. People, youngsters these days have it so easy. When I was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, I didn't even know what gay was. I thought it was a disease. For years, I've struggled with myself. I've had to lie, pretend, and so it wasn't easy for me or for anyone else that grew up during that time, because we didn't have any role models. Who do we find similar? Where do we find similar grounds? And when you don't find similar grounds, you think that you are deceased. You are somehow probably mentally not right, and you somehow try to end up hurting yourself, or going to the extremes, or probably contemplating some suicide, or have those kind of thoughts. You will definitely slip into depression. Hardly anyone of us who hasn't gone into depression, who grew up during that time. But nowadays, look at this. People are everywhere. Gay people are everywhere. Not only gay people are seen and appreciated, they are successful. Especially, I don't want to talk about other communities because I should not be speaking, but I know for a matter of fact that the gay community is one of the most successful communities in terms of their earning potential.
So what's something people or employees can do during the Pride Month to gain awareness about the LGBTQ plus community?
I think I'll tell you what I used to do, and I've done this for so many years in my previous organizations as well, is decorate my desk and have some photos. If the times that I've been in a relationship, I used to put photos of the person, or I even go and attend these festivals and make sure that I put them as photos. At that time, there were not stories and reels. Reels is something that is very recent. So that's what I used to do. I used to put it on Facebook. And there was this workplace where there was a notice board as well, where we used to also do that. We used to conduct events. There were some, I think one of the employers that I worked with also introduced kind of a, not NSFW drag performance, but there was some sort of a gay themed party where, there was dancing and playing to some songs that are popular with the gay community. Those things. And then I think such interviews should happen. And as I said, it's not the first time I've given such an interview. I've been a part of such interviews. And this should definitely help the people who are in the closet and who are working in that organization. We all need role models. We all need that motivation from someone. That person was able to do that. I can also do that. It's not that bad. It's not the end of my life. I will not, stay closeted. I won't lie for the rest of my life. I will also come out one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure it was hard for you as well. and you still managed to do it. So yes, I mean, anybody listening here from Wishup or from any other organization, yes, you should take the step and follow your heart. So as a part of the LGBTQA community, does working remotely benefit or hinder you in any way?
I think this is actually a very good sort of a boon, not only to all the employees who used to work out of an office, but also to housewives and LGBT community, because you can be safe. You can still be open about yourself and yet be safe because you're within the safety of your house, and there's no one that can comment on you. Usually in an office environment, there's always that mockery that goes around. There is always that joking around, pulling someone's leg, and that's something that you can actually avoid. Not completely avoid, but can avoid to a large extent. You can dress up the way you want, right? When you work in an organization which is office based, we all think twice about how am I supposed to dress. Especially the transgender community, they want to put makeup on their faces, but they probably shy away because they are always like, oh my god, I'll be probably subjected to some kind of worst comments either on the road or at the workplace. So that's something that we all can avoid when it's a remote work setup. And because the chats and interactions are usually recorded, you can actually put it through as well if someone is trying to act smart.
That's a point. Awesome. So how has your experience been working with Wishup? Do you think that we can do anything differently to spread awareness and increase inclusivity?
Well, the fact that I'm still here with Wishup actually should say a lot.
How many years has it been for you with Wishup right now?
I did, when I joined Wishup 2 years ago, I did have some personal issue. And I remember talking about it in detail with the founder and the reporting manager at that time, Shweta. And I actually thought I would probably take, probably quit because it was a huge thing that had happened in my personal life, and I was on the verge of a mental breakdown, and I just didn't want to continue because I couldn't continue. But that was the time when they listened to my stories, and I'm quite open about what has happened. It was something to do with the relationship that I had, which had just ended. And that's when they came to know that I was LGBTQ+. And maybe on that level, or probably because I was going through, they still supported me. They offered me a chance to just go on a sabbatical instead, because they knew that I was a performing employee. I was pulling 5-star clients. So they knew that this is someone who is capable, and they gave me that opportunity to take sabbatical and then return back when I'm fine. And that's exactly what I did. And I was so touched their gesture that and I don't think I've had any complaints even today. And I still keep saying this in all the introduction meetings when people join Wishup is Wishup takes care of me more than I take care of myself. That is what it is.
So now moving on to a lighter question, and you have to answer this one. So now I'm sure that people still don't know how to behave with LGBTQ plus in public, like your friends. So what are some of the funny things that people say to you, maybe unintentionally, but it comes out as really funny while they're trying to overcompensate for it? Come on, you got to give me at least one.
So many things, because there's so inappropriate comments that are coming up in my head, but I just can't say it. Are you a man or a woman? Are you, what private parts you have? How did you not marry? How can you not marry? Why can't you get attracted to a girl? Try it. Why don't you just get married? All the problems will be sorted.
I'm sure that's said by an Indian auntie to you at a wedding or something.
This is something every LGBTQ plus person.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Hears it on a daily basis. Not just LGBTQ plus. I think even a heterosexual teenager or person of marriageable age, which is again term that the society has somehow dictated on us.
I think that's 24 to 30, right? The ideal Indian marriageable age for a girl.
It's like right since 21.
21, okay.
Yeah.
If your life had to have a theme song, what would it be?
Hands down, 2010's Katy Perry's Firework. If you listen to the lyrics, she gives you this kind of enormous confidence. No matter how down you are, whatever has happened, if you listen to those lyrics, she just uplifts you within seconds. And that is when I actually found my confidence. Until I came out in 2003. It took me so many years to even gain some kind of ground or even stand up for myself. It came in 2010 when I heard that song. Yeah.
Nice.
And there was another song that which actually defines us, and it's from my favorite Lady Gaga, Born This Way, from 2013.
Yeah, I think she's been quite like a role model for the LGBTQ community, right?
Big role model. Huge.
Awesome. All right. So another question is that, see, I follow you on Instagram. You're there in the WhatsApp group that we're there. And more than your stories or your posts, we see Madhuri Dixit over there. So what's the story between you and Madhuri Dixit? Like, why do you like her so much?
I think we are just born 16 years apart. Just one soul, two different people.
Nice.
Well, where do I start? See, Sridevi and Madhuri Dixit are two actresses of the 80s and 90s that the gay community, especially the gay community, I'm not talking about the lesbian, transgender community or any other communities within our umbrella. The gay community identified with these actresses because they were creative, they were skilled, they used to dance so well, they used to emote so well, and they used to entertain. It was the 80s, 90s was all about dance songs from these two, and somehow the gay community identified. They whenever they had some issues, they used to just immerse into this world of dancing and just looking at these two actresses, and somehow they motivated people to be cheerful enough to always be expressive, to always dance out your worries. So all those things somehow made us like them. And when it comes to Madhuri Dixit, I just love the way she has conducted her personal life. A lot of people think that I like her dances, I like the way she smiles. It's called a 1,000-watt smile. No, it's not about that. Of course, she's had the highest of highs in the 90s, and even she's still in the reckoning, despite being 55 years old. She has 30 million followers. Nobody from the 80s, 90s actress groups has that kind of following. I actually follow her because of the way she has conducted her personal life, in the sense that she used to tell 5 things in the interviews since the 90s. First is, always, if you love someone, always give your 100%. Or if you love anything, it can be work as well. Give your 100%. That's something that I always do. Dancing is spiritual. It actually de-stresses you, and that's something that I've been following right since then. Family.
So can you dance like Madhuri? That's the next question.
Nobody can get even close to her. Forget about even imitating. It's like blasphemy even trying out.
Yeah, she's truly amazing.
Yeah. And
sorry, you were saying you were on the third point here.
Yeah, the third one is family is important. No matter people will come and go, but there's only family that will love you unconditionally. The word here to notice is unconditionally, because people do love you for various reasons, monetary, financially, whatever, support reasons. But parents, that's something that I learned, and that is also one of the reasons why I came back, because family is important. And she also operates on the same principle, and she has the same values. Then there's always some talent in everyone. We just need to find it and harness it, and that's what even I do when it comes to my trainees or just people in general. I try to make them aware that you're not useless, or especially from our community, people think that we are all second-grade people, secondary citizens, but no, we all have our own skills. So these are the things that I learned from her, and that's how I conducted my life, almost like hating her. Then we both went to the same college, both born in May, both have the same handwriting, both fell in love in the same year, both came back to
Oh.
India. Both have both born in Andheri, both went to the same school. So many similarities.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Shay, do you have any advice for all the queer people out there in the corporate world?
Yes. See, your workplace is probably the easiest place to come out. Number one, why? Because people will not judge. They will think twice to judge or even pass comments, because that is considered as discrimination at workplace, and they are they will face consequences. So you'll be always safe. The second thing is that people want to see such people, such LGBTQ plus people at workplaces, because even people want to know. They all hear about it, they all read about it, they all see such people. But when it comes to actually meeting such people, people also want to know. So you can be open with them, and at the same time not, expect a lot of homophobia, at least at workplace. So I think that is probably one of the main reasons why companies should be diverse enough, and you should come out probably at a workplace, and then to your friends, maybe.
Feel the water a bit, see how
Yeah.
comfortable you get, and then all right, makes sense. Shay, I can't thank you enough, man. Thanks so much for joining us on the show today. It was really insightful, and I got to know a lot about the LGBTQ community and about your experience. I mean, I'm sure if I was in your place, I don't know how would I have handled that back 20 years ago. So kudos to you for that. And I'm sure this would help anybody in Wishup or any of our listeners out there if they're planning to come out. Like, go for it.
Absolutely. We don't live in that world. And anyway, thanks so much, Christina. This was absolutely wonderful, and I'm so glad that Wishup did this, and I'm so glad that you asked me to, participate in that in this event, and I'm happy to contribute more, because this is something that Wishup. This is one of the best things that Wishup has done, at least this year, and I'll always remember this.
Awesome. All right, Shay. Thank you so much. See you around.